Yeah. Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Bhalava Giribharadhari. Jashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotarashata Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Granthara Shrimad Bhagavatam Ki Nitai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shishi Guru and Shigoranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, the Summon Bonon, Chapter 78, the killing of Dantavakra, Virudhata, and Romaharshan. Text number 33 through 36. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Charisye vada nirvesham lokanugrahakamyaya nijama pratane nijama pratame kalpe javan satu vidhi jatam. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Charishye Badha Nirvesham Lokanugrahakam Yaya Nijama Prathame Kalpe Javan Satu Piti Jatam. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Charisye Badha Nirvesham Lokanugrahakam Yaya Nijama Pratame Kalpe Javan Shatu Vidhi Jatam. Please chant. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Charishye Vadha Nirvesham Lokanugrahakam Yaya Nijama Prathame Kalpe Javan Shatu Vidhi Jatam. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. The Supreme Lord said, Charisye, I will execute Vadha for the killing, Nirvesham, atonement, Loka for the people in general, Anugraha, compassion, Kamyaya, desiring to show, Nijamaha, the regulative injunctions, Prathame, in the primary, Kalpe, ritual, Javan, as much, Saha, that, too, indeed, Vidhiyatam, please prescribe. Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The personality of God had said, I will certainly perform atonement for this killing. Since I wish to show compassion to the people in general, please therefore prescribe for me whatever ritual is to be done first. Text number 34. Dhirgam ajurvataitasya saton indriyan evacha asasitam jatat brute sadhaje yogamayaya. Translation, all sages, just say the word, and by my mystic powers I shall restore everything you promise him, long life, strength, and sensory power. Text 35. Rishaya uchuhu atrasya tabaviryasya mrityur asmakam evacha jatha bhave vacha satyam tatha rama vidiyatam. Translation. The sages said, please see to it, O Rama, that your power and that your Kusha weapon, as well as our promise and Ramaharshan's death, all remain intact. Text 36. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Admavai Putra Utpana Iti Veda Nushashanam Tasmat Asya Vavedya Bhakta Ayur Indriya Shatvatvam. Translation: the Supreme Lord said, the Vedas instruct us that one's own self takes birth again as one's son. Thus, let Ramaharshan's son become the speakers of the Puranas, and let him be endowed with long life, strong senses, and stamina. Purport by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Sridhar Swami quotes the following verse to illustrate the principle enunciated here by Lord Balaram. Angat angat sambhavasi hridayat abhijayashe admavai putra namasi sanjiva saradha satam. Quote, you have taken birth from various limbs. Sorry. You have taken birth from my various limbs and have arisen from my very heart. You are my own self in the form of my son. May you live through 100 atoms. This verse appear in the Satapatha Brahmana 14984 and the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad 648. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanam Jana Shalakaya Chakshur Ummilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Ramapada Swami Iti Namine Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaura Vani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatyadi Shatarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. This is a very wonderful conclusion of this pastime that when you look at the pastime of Lord Balaram killing Ramaharshan Sutta, the context is bewildering because the position that Ramaharshan Sutta had. And I mean, one can understand that he was disrespectful and disregarding of Lord Balaram's, and thus he was punished. The question arises is that the severity of the punishment was surprising, and not just surprising for us who are here in the narration, or anyone who is hearing the narration, but in the narration itself, it was something that was very surprising to the sages of Naimisharanya, who was gathering there hearing the narrations of the Puranas by Ramaharshan Sutta. So Ramaharshan Sutta was the most famous of his class. And we tell a little bit about Ramaharshan Sutta. But before that, I want to read, because there's a lot of information that may get lost as we read through, many verses. So I'm going to read some of the purpose that are given by the acharyas on the previous verse 33, 34, and 35. So to give a little entrance, on the context of these amazing pastimes of Lord Balaram. So in verse number 33, remember, Lord Balaram is responding now to the sages of Naimisharanya, just to recount a little bit. So the sages are there gathering in Naimisharanya, the same place where later, at the beginning of Kali Yuga, there was the gatherings of sages. As the same forest, Naimisha forest, that Ramaharshan Sutta was narrating the Puranas to um, to the to the many sages gathered there. And after Lord Balaram kills Ramaharshan Sutta with a kusha grass that by his mystic powers became a weapon that took the life of Ramaharshan Sutta, the sages uh, were very shocked, but they very clearly understood Lord Balaram's position as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, to kill the speaker of the Bhagavatam, the speaker of the Puranas, right in the middle of the Bhagavatam class was a bit, extreme, at least externally. But because they understood this is a Supreme Personality of Godhead, in a regular sense, anyone who comes and kills someone in that position, then that's a very serious offense that has serious consequences and require some serious purification, some serious atonement. So, but they also recognize, well, here's the personality of Godhead, and the personality of Godhead is not on the same level of an ordinary human being. So the personality of Godhead is a supreme controller and is totally independent. What is it? Jam, 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 Yasya Yatom Vaya. Jama Dyasya Yatom Vaya. Itarasta Chatirsu Abhigyas. Itarasta Chatirsu Abhigyaswara. You are completely independent. You're not dependent on the laws of the universe. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by his powers, whatever he does, whatever the personality of Godhead does, that is religion. That is the absolute truth. So it's unquestionable. So the sages, they brought out this conundrum that was there. Well, this is something that according to the laws of mankind should not be done, but it was done by the personality of Godhead. And on the top of that, we gave a word, the word of a brahmanas, the word of sages, that they never fall, they always truth. It's just part of the whole arrangement. The word of the sages, the benedictions, they always truth. So they gave the benediction to Ramaharshan Sutta to have a long life, to have great stamina, and to be powerful, to be able to do his service of being a narrator of the Puranas very, very strongly. So they gave that benediction. Now, if Ramaharshan Sutta becomes, now that he's dead, that benediction is being compromised. So they requested Lord Balaram, you please do, um, because Lord Balaram, after killing, he said, yes, actually, I did kill this. So that's, you know, it's something that is understood. It should not be done. So then, but the sages said, you please come with a solution in which what you did is protected and our word is protected. You know, how are you going to come with a solution? But you're the personality of Godhead and you can come with a solution. So you please do that. We have faith. It's not that, the sages trying to get Lord Balaram, well, you messed up, now solve it. No, they have faith that the Supreme Personality of God, they understood Lord Balaram as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So now you come, my dear Lord, with a solution in which not just our promise, our benediction to Ramaharshan Sutta is protected, but your actions are also truth. Your weapon and your killing of Ramaharshan Sutta and your activities are not question or compromise. So now here is how Lord Balaram resolved that perfectly well. And so that's the background of this situation. Um, so this is what the Acharyas write about these verses 33, 34, and 35. In verse 33, Lord Balaram said that I will perform the atonement for killing. Because the sages in the previous verse say, please do like that. In one sense, you are independent and you can do whatever you consider is, the right action. They accept that with faith. But they have faith. But what about the people in general? People that not necessarily have the same type of a strength of faith like the sages. People that their intelligence and their capacity of discriminating is polluted by material condition. What about those people when they see something like this? Then they're going to follow. You know, Krishna explains that in the Bhagavad Gita, whatever a great man does, common people follows. So for the sake of people, then please consider doing atonement, the purification rites to purify yourself for committing the sin of killing, Ramaharshan Sutta. So Lord Balaram agrees. He says, I will certainly perform atonement for these killings. And he says the reason is not because Lord Balaram has been touched by sin, but he says, I want to show compassion to people in general. So Krishna says something similar in the Bhagavad Gita. I don't have to follow the regulations of the Vedas and all these guidelines. There's no duty that I have to perform. But I do that to set an example for people in general to follow. Similar. And Lord Balaram asked the sages, you tell me what exactly I have to do. He's setting the example. And this is what Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti and Srila Jiva Goswami comment on this. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti says, an expression of Lord Balaram. I will carry out this atonement for killing the Brahmana. And Srila Jiva Goswami say, you should prescribe the vow that must be done first. There's no alternative. So the example of following the authorities of the Brahmanas as the ones who dictate the guidelines of how to carries one life. In the course of life, there is no escape. One have to, through just by living, you're exposed to commit, to break, religious principles, or even just to kill, just by breathing with killing. So, in general, the laws of mankind um, give us that we have to constantly be part of the duties of people is to perform atonement for any type of sinful reactions that may be there. So it's just part of it. Even by walking in the street or chanting your rounds, one can step in an ant or some insect. We don't know, you know. So you took the life of a living creature, so you have to atone for that. There is this atonement that is called, I can't remember the name, Pancha something. You remember that? Pancha something. 5 types of atonements that householders have to perform regularly. And one of them is when you light a fire, then you kill some entities. When crush some spices, you may kill some entities. Sometimes, people bring flowers to offer to the deities, fresh flowers. And then when we wash them, it flushes, insects that are living in the flower. And they may perish. So that type of thing. So there's an atonement that have to be done. So, and this is dictated by the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas are the ones who teach society what to do and how to do it. Lord Balaram is establishing that principle. In the next verse 34, Lord Balaram continues, says, the sages, actually, whatever you say, I will follow. If you said that this Ramaharshan Sutta, you gave him the benediction of long life, I will bring him to life again. Just say a word. Say, my dear Lord, please bring him back to life so he can do his service. He probably already learned his lesson. We make sure that like that. So just say a word, Lord Balaram. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments, since the Brahmanas are my mouth, I should not do anything which will break your promise. Speak so that I can follow your instruction. Ask for long life, strength, and sharpness of the senses. And Srila Jiva Goswami comments, by my Achintya Shakti, I do everything you ask. And Srila Sanatana Goswami say, even sensory powers and proper conduct will be restored. By my special powers, I can do everything you ask. So Lord Balaram said, if you want, I can restore everything. And not only that, but Ramaharshan Sutta will be perfectly restored and established in proper conduct and with everything it was promised to him. The sages, however, they say, my dear Lord, no, you please bring the solution that not only protects our word, but also protects your actions. So they didn't accept even the Lord's proposal because that will question the Lord's action. And that's a principle too that the sages are establishing. The activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they're deviant, they're transcendental. And it's a requisite for anyone who wants to, come to the position of transcendental knowledge, of jnana, to understand that principle. That Jamma Karma Chame Divyam. Jamma and Karma, the appearance of the Lord and the activities of the Lord are deviant. And to understand that, if one can understand that in truth, that is a qualification to become liberated from the cycle of birth and death and go back home, back to God. So the sages are establishing that that's unquestionable. Even if it appears something that is, oh my God, he just killed the speaker of the Bhagavatam. It's like, uh, eh, in the middle of a, Bhagavatam class. It's quite something. Srila Jiva Goswami, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments on this verse, 35. You should arrange things in such a way that your weapon, strength, and killing as well as our words remain true. Srila Jiva Goswami comments, arrange these so that your weapon and your prowess remain intact, since they belong to you. His death should remain, since it was arranged by you, the Lord. And the truth of our words concerning the performance of a sacrifice should remain intact, since it's related to you. By this you will perfect your position as the giver of pleasure to all beings, Rama. Beautiful. And Lord Balaram then comes with a solution. Then he speaks and he says that the Vedas instruct us that one son, so that he brought, this injunction of the Vedas that give the solution. The son of Ramaharshan Sutta, whose name was Ugrashrava, and who became known as Sutta Goswami, then he became, the speaker of the Puranas and the Bhagavatam. He took the position of Ramaharshan Sutta, and he was giving all the blessings of the sages that were given to Ramaharshan Sutta, now were given to Ugrashrava, Sutta Goswami. Now, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments, in this verse, Balaram fulfills their request. The Veda says, you are born from my limbs, you are born from my heart. You, my son, are myself. May you live 100 years. Therefore, Ramaharshan's son, Ugrashrava, should be the reciter of the Puranas, and he will be blessed with long life and energy. Therefore, because Ramaharshan remains dead, the weapon of his death persists. But at the same time, in the form of his son, his long life and energy, according to your words, remains as well. So it's quite wonderful, um, the past tense of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Balaram. And it's very interesting, um, to just understand a little more the position of this, of Ramaharshan Sutta and Sutta Goswami, his son. This position of a sutta is uh, within the social structure of the Vedic culture. A sutta is a class of people who has of miscast. It's supposed to be that the father is a Kshatriya and the mother is a Brahmana. And their occupation in general is they're charioteers, they take care of the elephants and horses, and they're the bards of the, the kingdom. They reside, they're the storytellers. From the Kshatriya part, they understand the the strategies of war. They understand horses. They understand how to go to war as Kshatriyas. So they're very expert, um, in 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 being at war, specifically driving the chariots, and it's such an important um, occupation and position in terms of warfare, because the Kshatriyas were depending. It was a very important position for a Kshatriya to have a very qualified chariot driver. We see that in the Mahabharata, the consideration, because Krishna, as the Supreme Personality, was the best of the chariot drivers. So it was an advantage for Arjuna to have Krishna. So Duryodhana, when he was considering that, okay, now that Karna was entering into the war, then he is at at least at worst equal to Arjuna in progress. But Arjuna had the advantage on Karna, so they were, very, very powerful, equally powerful. But the advantage that Arjuna had over Karna is that Krishna was his chariot driver. So he needed to find a chariot driver who was as good as Krishna to equalize the whole thing. And then they requested Shalvya, huh? Shalya, yes, Shalya, to be the chariot driver. He was actually the king of Madras and the uncle of the Pandavas, but he was tricked by Duryodhana to be part of his, to fight on his side. So he became the chariot driver. So chariot drivers is a very important position, very much. And so in general, so famous chariot drivers, we have, of course, Daruka, and we have Sanjaya. Sanjaya was the chariot driver of King Dhritarashtra. And Sanjaya is famous because he is narrating, disciple of Vyasadeva. So, they have a very respectful position. They have a very respectful position. they can actually function as Kshatriyas or as Brahmanas. We have the situation, like King Jadu. He was the son of King Jayati and Devayani, right? Devayani was the daughter, it was a Brahmana lady, and King Jayati, and then Jadu and Puru, they all were sons of Devayani. So here's examples of suttas who actually became powerful kings. Or they can be like Ramaharshan, the powerful brahmanas. So they can act like brahmanas. So Ramaharshan became a disciple of Vyasadeva. And Vyasadeva, when he compiled the Vedas, he gave different parts of the Vedas to a particular sage. So the Rig Veda he gave to a sage, the Yajur Veda to another sage, the Atharva Veda to another sage, the Sama Veda to another sage. I can't remember the names. But specifically, the Puranas and Itihasas, which are the historical events, narrations, the pastime, the narrations, he gave to Ramaharshan Sutta and to also, to Ramaharshan Sutta. So Ramaharshan Sutta, direct disciple of Vyasadeva, who was the main personality who was able to narrate the Puranas. Big time position. Qualified within the lineage of, disciple of Vyasadeva, direct disciple of Vyasadeva. So, so the killing was shocking. But he also tells that the position of someone who have that position of responsibility is representing Vyasadeva, who is representing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's representing the Vedas. And the Vedas are only there to understand Krishna. Vedasha Sharvar Aham Eva Vedyo. Krishna is the Vedas. He's the compiler of the Vedas as Vyasadeva. And the Vedas are meant to understand him. So now you're in that very, very important position that you're the main guardian of this very important part of the Vedas. And you fail to recognize the personality of Godhead who have come and give darshan in the place where you are. So obviously, that shows that this person cannot be in that position because he's failing the essence of that position. And that was why he was eliminated by Lord Balaram. And with that, he established the position of Srila Sutta Goswami, who have this very important part to play in the whole narration of the Bhagavatam and the Mahabharata. The Mahabharata is also narrated by Srila Sutta Goswami. The story is that in that same place that Srila Sutta Goswami narrates the Bhagavatam to the sages of Naimisharanya headed by Shanika Rishi, Shanika Rishi also wanted to hear the Mahabharata. And the Mahabharata is narrated to Shanika Rishi, who Srila Sutta Goswami recounts the narration that the sage, what's the name of it? Vyashampada narrates to Janamayaya, who was the son of Maharaj Pariksit. So Srila Sutta Goswami, blessed by Lord Balaram, became the actual qualified person to take care of this, to deliver the Bhagavatam to the world. And so that's the whole, perfect. All the activities of the Supreme Lord are perfect and complete. And for us, that's the great fortune that we have to worship the Bhagavatam by daily listening to its narrations. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, the constant worship of the Srimad Bhagavatam. I stop here. Any comments or questions?
Thank you, Thank you. First thing I think of is Leela and when Krishna killed the bull demon, and when Krishna killed the bull demon,
Yeah.
the gopis wanted him to atone, and then everything came out right.
Actually, it was a calf.
The
Calf demon.
Wow. I can't think of anything that any question to it. Still trying to understand the pastime. I have to go deeper into studying it because there's so many different names and stuff. But it seems like there's a rites of passage to get in also.
It's a what?
A rites of passage to get into, even though this is there for us, it still has. We have to submit and kind of put some effort into entering into these understanding these pastimes. But it's just pretty beyond words.
Well, the effort that we made is that we have we only have entrance to these pastimes because through the acharyas. So through the acharyas, is that we take him by the hand and lead to understand properly these pastimes in truth. Otherwise, people speculate. They just try to see those pastimes from the perspective of the world of dualities, the material perspective, and you become bewildered. You absolutely have no chance to understand it. You know, why is God killing, the big priest? I mean, it doesn't make people become bewildered. They can't understand these things, and they start to blaspheme. Avajananti man mudha. They don't understand mudhas, you know. So Krishna calls like that. So we have the the opportunity to understand through the acharyas, and that's the important thing. We study the books that Prabhupada gave us. So we have to be discriminating. Prabhupada gave us guidelines of how to enter and understand Krishna's pastimes, and we have to very diligently and with these two principles that are principles of yoga, abhyasa and vairagya, with constant practice and determination, and by practicing renunciation. Renunciation, when we talk renunciation about, we practice our propensity to try to enjoy, to get juice out of what we do. So we renounce that part. We don't renounce activity. We renounce the desire to enjoy the result of activities. And that's what we practice, Vairagya. So it's just part of the whole thing. And we learn that by by the purifying, the purification of listening, hearing the narrations of the Bhagavatam and the scriptures, and by the practices of devotional service. We develop that.
Yes. So personally, it's just very, I guess I could say exciting, and it's just very, very makes me very happy to know that we have a checks and balance to know for sure what the truth is. Guru Sadhu and Sastra is infallible. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And even then, we have to be, properly situated with faith in this principle. Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. All right. Anything else? Thank you so much. Grantara Shriman Bhagavatam ki jai.